Yo guys, this is Orbit here, TGN. In this video we are going to be going over the Throne of the Dead raid. I'm going to be giving you some strategy tips on each boss so you can hopefully know the mechanics and complete this with no problems. So the first thing you'll notice is we are running 2 tanks, which is absolutely essential, you'll find out in a moment, 3 DPS, 1 healer and 2 controllers. Okay, so the tanks are very important for this stage of the fight. If they don't know what they're doing, you're gonna real struggle. So have your main tank, the tank with the highest CR, grab the bulk of the adds and tank them at the front of the room where you spawn in. The sub tank, your job, which was my job in this video, you'll see, is to grab the white essence of war and tank that away from the enemies. Now there's a few things we need to know about the essence. The first thing is the essence kind of represents Ares' shield, in the fact that as long as the essence is up and about and fighting, Ares is going to be extremely difficult to take down. So we need to first of all take down the essence, but not everybody can do that, because anybody in my group and all of the adds actually, if they make contact with the essence, heal the essence, okay, and that includes sidekicks, includes Mr. Booze and all of your pet trinkets. So the only person who can do damage is tanks, and tank pets as well, they're included. So that's why you want to split them apart, okay, so one tank's essence and kills the essence. Make sure you let the group know when the essence is about to die, because at that point you want to do as much damage to Ares as you possibly can, and then the essence will come back out after, you know, 30 seconds or however long it is, and just get that tank to rinse and repeat, throw it to the side again, kill it, focus your damage on Ares, boom boom, back and forth, and Ares' health of course will eventually go. That is the tip for the strategy for the first boss, guys. Obviously the better your DPS is, the less amount of times you'll need to kill the essence, because you'll do more damage on Ares once essence is down. Okay, so on to the second boss. Now with this fight we're going to be faced with 3 judges. Initially only one of the judges we will be able to target, so of course focus all of your damage over that way. This is essentially a tank and spank fight. Some groups prefer to do this with just 1 tank and the other tank switch to DPS. That's absolutely fine as long as the tank can obviously hold the damage. It's a little bit safer if you've got the sub tank, because the sub tank can gain aggro if the main tank dies, which is what you see on this video. Now apart from just general attacks and lots of AoE, there is a special attack which the judges do, which we do need to look out for, and that's where they fire their laser beam out of their hands. You'll know when this is happening because there'll be a red skull above their head, but if it does kind of fire the laser beam towards you, doesn't matter where you go, he's tracking you with that laser beam, and when the kind of fires out the attack, there's going to be a pulsing AoE attack underneath your feet, okay, and you've just got to try and get out of that as fast as possible. Sometimes it's not easy. Try and get out of it as fast as possible. If you do get caught in it, of course you're going to take heavy damage, possibly die, and if you do die, it's going to be difficult to pick you up initially because the pulse of the AoE is still going. They'll have to wait a few seconds before grabbing you, so just watch out for that, guys. And apart from that, it is literally just, you know, a couple of adds will spawn here and there, some general AoE damage. This boss fight isn't actually too difficult. Okay, so on to the last boss fight against Hades. Now in this fight, after we get his portion down to a certain amount, he will start banishing members of the group, and that will be the 4 closest people of each role. For example, the closest troll, the closest healer, closest tank, closest DPS, and he'll teleport you to the outside of the boss room. If you don't get teleported, of course, use your supply drops, your sidekicks, do whatever you need to do to survive until the whole group can get back into the boss room to help you out. Now there's a few different types of adds which we'll encounter during this fight. The first one is the Bowmaster. The Bowmaster can be a bit of a pain in the backside. Basically what he will do is like an explosive shot and target one of you guys. If you get hit by the explosion shot, a little ring will kind of be underneath your feet. At that point you've got to block, otherwise you're going to take some serious damage, and everybody near you, around you, also has to block or get the hell out of the way, otherwise they're going to take some serious damage. So if it kind of lands on you, you have got time to kind of roll out of the way, get into a bit of space away from everybody else, block, and then you should be fine. Next up is the Punisher. Now the Punisher will have a red skull that appears above their head. Once you see that, make sure nobody attacks the Punisher, because it will absorb all of that damage and then just absolutely fire it back out, and 9 times out of 10 just destroy everybody nearby, which is probably going to be the tanks. And of course we know if the tanks die, then you know you haven't got much time left. So be really careful when the Punishers are about not to attack. You've got to just use your communication for the Punisher. Then we've got the Totem Master. Now the Totem Master will spawn a totem, which just spawns in more rats. Okay, so kill the totem, get the Totem Master down, because you know you don't want to be overridden with enemies. It's also good to know, guys, that at some point during the fight you may be transformed into what looks like a statue. If that does happen to you, you'll have one move on your loadout, and it's just an absolute stomp to the ground, which does heavy damage to anybody nearby, and I mean anybody, including everyone on your team. It's just an absolute destructive, don't give a shit who's nearby, just boom, just destruction everywhere. So if you do turn into the statue, be very careful. What I ended up doing was just going into the corner and stomping 4 times, because that's how many times you need to stomp before transforming back into your original self. Just go into a bit of space and do your stomping, rather than just stomping, because your healers aren't going to be able to keep up. Another thing I forgot to point out is another attack which Hades does is when he has a skull above his head. That could be the teleportation, which what we already talked about, but also it could mean that he is deflecting all damage back at you, and obviously stop your damage then. So apart from that, you know, once you know the kind of ins and outs of everything which I've just talked about, it's a relatively simple fight actually, and I think that's with any fight. Once everybody knows what they're doing, it's relatively simple. So hopefully this video has helped guys who aren't quite sure of what it is that they're doing. Apart from that, like, comment and subscribe.